Active.
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 A country like Canada has many different kinds of people, and not all of them speak English as their first language. The lifestyles of people from the United Nations, transportation companies, a francophone school, and a maple products company show how active people in Quebec really are. An important organization of the United Nations is active in Montreal. Find out how this office regulates international air traffic.
My name is Tracy Martineau. We are presently at the headquarters of the International Civil Aviation Organization in Montreal, Canada. Here I work in the Office of External Relations and Public Information. The organization was founded in 1944 in Chicago after the signing of the Convention on International Civil Aviation. ICAO is also a specialized agency of the United Nations and is the only United Nations agency headquartered here in Montreal. The Council of ICAO is composed of 33 member countries. These countries are elected by the Assembly, that is to say, all of our 185 member countries. They are elected and appointed on the Council for a 3-year period here in Montreal. The Council acts as the executive of the organization. They deal with daily matters such as administrating the budget, as well as adopting international standards for which ICAO was created in the first place. On the technical side of things, ICAO has an Air Navigation Commission. This commission is composed of 15 experts in the science and practice of aeronautics. The international standards, which ICAO creates, ensure the safety, efficiency, and regularity of international civil aviation. These standards cover such items from personnel licensing to meteorology to the safe transport of dangerous goods and aviation security. ICAO's international standards are then sent out, if you wish, to our member countries, and it is the responsibility of our member states to take our standards, incorporate them in their own national legislation, and enforce them upon their carriers and their manufacturers in their jurisdiction. ICAO is located here in Montreal, but it also has 7 regional offices throughout the world. They are located in Bangkok, in Cairo, in Dakar, in Lima, in Nairobi, in Paris, and in Mexico City. On a yearly basis, the regional representatives, regional directors, meet here in Montreal to review the problems that they've encountered, the solutions that they've put forward, with a view of making sure that these situations that may arise again in another region are rectified in a similar manner. ICAO establishes, as I mentioned, international standards for international civil aviation. These standards are contained in 18 separate annexes to the Convention on International Civil Aviation. These standards are considered international laws. However, ICAO has no enforcement powers. I mentioned that the states have the responsibility for enforcing our standards, and that is to say ICAO cannot ban a member country, for example, from participating in the work of the organization for non-compliance with the standards. For some of the international standards that we send out, countries will notify us of differences, and we will make this information available to our countries, are rectified in a similar manner.
When something goes wrong, it must be corrected or somehow made right.
However, ICAO has no enforcement powers.
To enforce means to make sure that others obey a rule, like a police force enforces.
ICAO cannot ban a member country.
When something is banned, it is forbidden by an official power or government, such as the United Nations.
For non-compliance with the standards.
To comply means to go along with, and so non-compliance means not to obey the rule.
The overall purpose of the organization is to ensure, as I mentioned, the safety, the security, and the regularity of international civil aviation, so that a passenger who leaves from Montreal, Canada, flying to India will be ensured that the same service, the same reliable service available in the developing world will be available all over the world to them. Montreal is also home to IATA, the International Air Transport Association, the association for the airline carriers. IATA, ICAO, CETA, Bombardier, Canadair, etc. all play a great part in the development of international civil aviation.
Active people need to be mobile. In Canada, this means traveling long distances. Listen to the role that air travel plays in this large country.
My name is Priscille LeBlanc. We are in Air Canada's headquarters in Dorval, Quebec. I am the Director of Corporate Communications for Air Canada. Air Canada was born of very humble origins. Its predecessor was TransCanada Airlines, which started service on September 1st, 1937, between Vancouver and Seattle. On that historic day, a small 10-seater L-10A aircraft flew between Vancouver and Seattle with 2 passengers and many sacks of mail. Since that day, TransCanada Airlines played a very active role in the economic development of Canada. Canada is a very large country and very dependent on air transportation for its economic growth. Therefore, the airline soon became government-owned and operated for many years in a heavily regulated environment. The government had much say into the routes we flew, the fares we charged, and the frequency and the type of network that we had. As the years evolved, Air Canada grew to become Canada's major airline and became a leader in world transportation as well. In 1969, the name was changed to Air Canada formally. Today, Air Canada provides passenger service to 17 Canadian cities, 34 cities to the United States, and 22 cities in Europe, Asia, the Middle East, and the Caribbean. We operate over 600 flights a day in 239 airplanes, ranging from the 50-seat Canadair regional jet to the 234-seat Airbus 340. In 1998, we carried almost 15 million passengers. Our strong international network is further strengthened by our Star Alliance partnership. In 1997, we formed Star Alliance with Lufthansa, Thai Airways, Varig, SAS, and United Airlines. Its predecessor was TransCanada Airlines.
A predecessor is a person or a thing that comes before the one that is currently being used.
The government had much say into the routes we flew.
Someone who has a say has the right to be involved and to make decisions about the thing being discussed.
Canada, however, is more than 17 major cities. What is different about air transportation in Canada is that there is a need for service between many regional communities, as it would not be possible for freight and goods to be carried by train through these long distances, not to mention essential air travel for passengers. Therefore, Air Canada has a very strong regional airline network formed of 3 carriers: Air Nova, which operates in the Atlantic provinces and Quebec; Air Ontario, which operates in Canada's largest province; and Air BC, which serves the West. These 3 regional carriers serve over 30 smaller Canadian communities, bringing passengers and goods into Air Canada's network at the major cities. The regional carriers carry over 3 million passengers each day and operate almost 600 flights a day. Air Canada's regional carrier network forms the 5th largest regional network in the world, but it has certainly played a very unique and active role in Canada's air transportation development.
Mobility must also take place on the ground. Many active travelers choose to rent a car. Learn about how one company helps them.
Sure.
Thank you for calling Avis and Metcalf. Mary speaking. Je peux vous aider. How may I help you?
The only other thing is that it would.
Okay, so you want to return it downtown?
The only other thing is that it would.
No problem. C'est une 1800.
My name is Andre Meschart. I'm district manager with Avis Rent-A-Car in Montreal, and I take care of the operations in the city of Montreal for Avis Rent-A-Car. Avis Canada has been in Canada for 42 years. We rented our first car in 1957 in the nation's capital in Ottawa. Since then, Avis has obviously expanded, and we are now active in over 150 locations across Canada, employing 1,200 people and having approximately 16,000 cars on rent at any one time. For the past 42 years, we've been a major business partner to a lot of Canadian corporations, and we've achieved this through good service to our customers. High levels of customer satisfaction and customer loyalty are our goal. Primarily, we have to make sure that we train and teach our people the right way of doing things and the right way of treating our customers. One of the key phrases that we use is called sense and respond, which means that the employees are trained to sense the needs of each individual customer and then respond as best as they can with all the tools available. As an example, we have a lot of foreign visitors that come to Canada to visit the country, and when they arrive at our rental counters, we would help them out, especially somebody who's never been here before and might be nervous. We would help them out with driving directions, driving tips on how to drive the vehicle, which would be on an audio tape they could insert into the vehicle while they're driving it, traffic rules, all sorts of helpful advice that would make his experience less stressful and more pleasant during his stay in Canada. We've hired employees from a great diverse cultural background. It enables our employees to serve our customers at counter in many languages. Some of the languages include Punjabi as an example, or Cantonese or Mandarin, or even German, French, English, Italian. Diversity is part of the cornerstone on which Avis is built on. In addition to that, for the people who we can't serve in the native language, we have many foreign languages, including some even obscure languages, in which we have our printed material, so that we can provide the customer with the information they require when visiting Canada. Diversity is part of the cornerstone on which Avis is built on.
Cornerstone comes from building a house. It's the stone on the corner, a foundation.
Including some even obscure languages in which we have our printed material.
Something that is obscure is not easily seen or is not very well known to others. Some of the most active people in a community are their youth. A francophone school gives its girls many chances to develop and grow.
I'm André Paré. I'm a gym teacher in Sherbrooke Collège Mont Notre-Dame. Sherbrooke is an hour and a half from Montreal. And the school is a private school, and we are with girls, around 500 students. So we are a small school for Quebec. It's a high school, so they are arriving at 12 years old to finish at 17, 18 years old. We start at 5 years old. They do 6 years in elementary, so they bring them to high school. In Quebec, the high school is 5 years, so they have, during the 5 years, at the end of the 5 years, they have to decide what they want to do in their life. So they have to decide what kind of orientation they want to go for. Those 2 years are in Cégep, collégial, and after those 2 years, girls or a student goes to university. When they are arriving, we have French, English, that take a great part of the time with mathematics, and they do science, Spanish too. Here, they're doing more Spanish now in Quebec. It's seems better to have 3 languages, so they do more of that. Well, a thing important in the school is the group, the teacher are very close. Every teacher are in the same place, though we don't have an office for different part like math teacher and French. So there's a place where we could be more active with the teacher and other teacher to feel if the girls are okay in the day. Something could happen to one girl, and we could speak a little bit more. Watch that girl today, she didn't seem to be quite well, something happened, we don't know. So the school is, because it's small, because of the teacher are close, that help a lot to do the main thing that we want to do, education. Mm-hmm. So we like that feeling. Mm-hmm. It's and the teacher are very present in school. They are in some committee where they could see girls not in a classroom but preparing something else. Ecology committee, sports committee, theater. So the teacher are always working with girls, not always in the classroom, but during noon or after school or before school. So the school system is very nice about that here. We like it a lot. I'm a gym teacher in Sherbrooke Collège Mont Notre-Dame.
A gym teacher comes from gymnasium. This is the hall where sports are played, so this is a physical education teacher.
Speak often?
Yeah.
No, doesn't do that. You don't speak. Yeah, you like to speak in school during classroom.
Well.
So do it there. Not yelling, but
just saying.
I'm free. Give me the ball. So.
Yeah, but when we yell, sometimes they don't give us the ball. Sometimes they just look at what they have to do and they don't give it to us.
The thinking it takes too much time. You think what we have to reduce the thinking time. That you're gonna be. It's gonna be easy for you to play that time.
Sometimes you take the ball and you said, "What I am going to do?" And you're like,
surprise! I got a ball.
Yeah. And all the team say, "I want a ball." I want a ball. And they're all like, and you don't know you're going to get which one.
Yeah, and they're so close. To why I give the ball to my next girl just near of me doesn't change nothing.
Yeah.
So
it's
more.
like
Yeah, tic-tac-toe. Not yelling, but...
Yeah.
To yell means to speak very, very loudly, especially when you're excited, as in a sports event.
It's kind of a way to education. We have to do something where the girl could relax a bit. It's nice, it's very important. I like to see girls in a small community so they could see what kind of girl they are, what place they took in a group, and they have to be prepared to act in the society today. That's a nice part. That's the main part for me. Winning is nothing. It's not important, because when they're going to be adult, they will not remember how game they have won. The thing more important is who they are. So if we win, that's another part. That's fun. If we lost, try to find something to so they could be happy what they done, and that's education that we try to do here.
One of Canada's most active industries is so well known because Canada is the leading producer. Discover the story of maple products in Quebec.
Hello, my name is Betty Eitner. I'm Director of Marketing and Sales for Citadel Maple Syrup Producers Cooperative, the largest maple syrup producers cooperative in the world. What I'd like to do is tell you a little bit about where maple syrup comes from, where it originated, how it's harvested, how it's produced, and how we in turn bottle it and package it and export it around the world, including to Germany. Originally, maple syrup was discovered by the Indians, known as Swansea-Buckland, which is a word that I'm not going to try to repeat a second time. It was a sweet sap that flowed from the tree, which they used to sweeten desserts, to just use as a sweetener. As time went on, they realized that as they boiled the product down, it would become more concentrated and sweeter. And today's modern techniques, which are now pipelines that are led from tree to tree, which bring the sweet sap into the sugar bush, are still based on the techniques that the Indians used. It takes 40 liters of maple sap to produce just 1 single liter of maple syrup, to concentrate the liquid down and to bring it to the beautiful amber color and the taste that you have come to know as maple syrup. In Canada, we produce over 80% of the world's production of maple syrup. We at Citadel have over 3,000 members that gather the sap from over 6 million maple trees over the spring season during the harvest time, which starts in the middle of April and ranges till the end of May. In that time period, we will receive over 4 million kilos of maple syrup, which we will later transform through different techniques of pasteurization and storage until it is bottled and brought to your table. Maple syrup is one of the few sweeteners in the world that is 100% natural. It is boiled down from the sap of a tree into a syrup. As it is further boiled down, it becomes a maple spread, and it is further down, it becomes a maple sugar. There is no refining techniques. There are no techniques other than a pure natural product. It is the only sweetener in the world that does contain minerals, calcium, potassium, and magnesium. It is a slow absorption product. therefore similar to honey. It is acceptable for diets for people who cannot absorb refined sugars in their system. It is becoming a very, very popular product around the world, and its usage is becoming more and more popular, especially for people who are looking for natural sweeteners and natural products in their diets. The product is 100% pure and natural, and what could be more natural than a liquid sap coming out of a tree? It was a sweet sap that flowed from the tree.
Sap is the blood of the tree, the liquid that carries food to all its parts.
As they boiled the product down,
boil is what you do with a liquid to heat it until it becomes a gas or steam. Water boils at 100 degrees.
At Citadel Maple Syrup Producers Cooperative, we have also refined our techniques to make sure that the product being brought to your table is 100% pure and has got the springtime flavor as if it was just harvested. When we bring the product into the facility, the first thing we do is each barrel is tested by a government inspector for clarity, for flavor, and is graded. We, in turn, later will filter this product, we will pasteurize the product, and store it in stainless steel tanks with a nitrogen barrier, which will keep its springtime flavor until we further process it. At that point, what we do is we pump it into units which will reheat the product to over 85 degrees Celsius, and it will go through our bottling facility. Our bottling facility then bottles at 85 degrees Celsius to make sure that the product is completely bacteria-free and as pure as nature intended it to be. With our special system of capping on metal caps, no oxygen can enter into the bottles, as oxygen is the biggest enemy of maple syrup, which could cause mold, which will cause flavor changes, or which could cause color changes. So we guarantee that the product you get is as pure and as fresh as the product that the Indians harvested many, many years ago. The maple syrup industry is a very, very active industry around the world, constantly ensuring that all its techniques and products shipped around the world are 100% pure, and are currently introducing a program through the Canadian government, sponsored by the government, called the Maple Mark, which will guarantee 100% pure and natural product at your table.